Hello, welcome back to another week of learning with Mrs. Johnson in music class. Today we are going to continue learning about the families of the orchestra. Now, last class we learned about what a philharmonic was, what a philharmonic orchestra was, and we learned that a philharmonic orchestra is a group of 105 people that get together and they play instruments all together. So today we're going to learn, I'm sorry, I just had a black jelly bean. They're my favorite. So this week we're going to learn about the families of the orchestra and the names of the different instruments. So the orchestra, they sit like this. The conductor, that guy that had the wavy hair, he stands right here on the podium, and in front of him are all of these people. Now, we have four different groups, excuse me, four different groups of instruments, they call them families. The first family is the string family. The second family is the woodwind family. The third family is the brass family. And the fourth family is the percussion family. This is a better picture of it. You can see the conductor. You can see all of the string instruments. You can see all of the woodwind instruments in the orange. In the green, you see all of the brass. And on the outside in the blue is all of the percussion. Okay. So let's talk about the first family, the string family. The string family is made up of instruments that have strings. We have the violin, which is the smallest. We have the viola, which is the second smallest. The cello, which you sit down and you play. The double bass, you stand up and play. And the harp, you have to tip it onto your shoulder to play. Now, the violin and the viola, you play like this. I have a violin. Let me show you. This is a violin. Violin is not as big as, this is the smallest instrument there is in the orchestra. Well, in the string family. You hold it like this. Now what do I do? I guess I could pluck it. That doesn't sound really great though, does it? We have this thing called a bow, and you play it across the strings. Now, a bow is something you use for all the different string instruments. It's made out of, this part is horsehair, and it's on this stick that you tighten it to make it make different sounds. The next family that we're going to talk about, excuse me, is the woodwind family. Now, the woodwind instruments are typically made out of wood. Now, you guys got to actually touch a flute. Do you remember that? We touched a flute during when we were learning about the different Irish instruments. Yeah. So we know that a flute is not made out of wood, but it's still in the woodwind family. A lot of these instruments have wooden reeds to help make sounds. And a wooden reed, you put it in your mouth and it vibrates to make the sounds out of the instrument. Now, flutes and piccolo, they all used to be made out of wood, so that's why they're called the woodwind family. So we have the piccolo, which is the baby instrument. It's basically like a baby flute. The flute, the oboe, the bass oboe, the clarinet. Who plays the clarinet? Squidward. The bass clarinet, the bassoon, the contrabass clarinet, the baritone saxophone, the tenor saxophone, and the alto saxophone. So these are all different types of saxophones, just different sizes. So these are the woodwind instruments. The next set of instruments are the brass instruments. Now, the brass instruments are made out of a material called brass, which is why they are called the brass instruments. This first one here, these are the trombones and the bass trombone. Trombone, bass trombone, a trumpet. I know lots of people have seen trumpets before. This is a cornet, which is like a mini, it's between a trumpet and a tenor horn, and it sounds very similar to a trumpet. This is a flugelhorn. This is a natural trumpet, which you don't see very often. The French horn, the tuba, the tenor horn, the baritone horn, and the euphonium. The euphonium is one of the biggest instruments in the whole orchestra. Those are our brass instruments. And these are our percussion instruments. Now, percussion instruments are any instruments that you can hit or shake. All right, so we have claves, we have a hand drum, that's a tambourine. We have hand drums, we have a snare drum, we have this is a xylophone, this is a bass drum, a triangle, maracas, guiro, cowbell, jingle bells, wooden blocks, little castanets, not tambourines, totally escaping my mind. This is a cabasa, so you shake it or you roll it and it makes cool sounds, and more types of drums. So that's the last family of our instrument families. All right, so that's what we were learning this week. We learned all the different types of instruments. We learned the families that they are in. And next week, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the sounds that each of the instruments in the orchestra makes. So I hope you tune in next week. Look out for my Friday read aloud. Bye, friends.